Hey, this is Thad Joyner, and you're listening to What Thad Thinks, the one and only podcast on the interweb focused solely on what I think. Proud that you're listening today. We are powered by Better Beans Branding, your one-stop shop for commercial and residential design, graphics, branding, construction, and remodel. Yes, capable of everything. Thank you for listening. Hey, good morning and welcome to What Thad Thinks. It is your favorite podcast that sponsored by and powered by Better Beans Branding. What Thad Thinks comes to you each and every week, except for the last 6 weeks. We have actually been on a 5-week hiatus of recording podcasts, mostly because of slackerness, laziness, and poor planning. It could also be for us trying to get production done on Neil's Survivor experience. We bought a business. I bought a lake house. We had elections. We had election hangover. We had Thanksgiving, and we had lots of general slacking. But we are back for the holidays. We are back for the new year, stronger than ever, more energized than ever to deliver you small business owners a little bit of enjoyment, very little content that you can take away, and maybe a smile or two. But we do want to have you leave with a little bit of motivation, something to work with, something to go. Thank you for all of you that tune in. Make sure you download, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like us, make sure to review us. And I want to give a shout out to a close friend, Jessica Johnson. She sent me a tag yesterday showing me that she has that we're her number one podcast. She has downloaded and listened to every single episode. Hey man, that's a pretty good friend. We're going to have Jessica on sometime. She'd be a good guest. I think we will have Jessica on sometime. I'm going to invite her. Well, she'll listen to this. So Jessica, when you listen to this, go ahead and text me if you're willing to, maybe next Wednesday, you and me, hot topics, on what Thad thinks. And I guess now we can bring on your favorite, survivor, your least favorite contributor, and my most favorite target, Nielsen Gupta. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How about you? Glad to be back.
Well, you started like you were going to be depressed. Oh, great. Then you go, oh, yeah, I've got to be excited now.
No, I'm energized.
Neil and I have had it out a little bit this morning. He has had 6 solid weeks he only has one responsibility or 2 responsibilities for this podcast. Well, 3. Number 1 is to hit the record button, which, so it's a big job for him. And sometimes, like today, I mean, he really has to search for it sometimes. Technology is not his friend. Number 2 is his next responsibility is to just take it, right? I mean, just sit on here and be himself and take a little punishment from time to time. But his biggest responsibility on this is to actually come up with like 3 or 4 compelling things to make sure to ask me about or for us to talk about that may be interesting to some of you guys, a little current events. He's had 6 weeks of non-activity to come up with something. He's known all week that this morning, 8:30, we were going to go ahead and knock out a few podcasts to kind of catch up and give y'all some extra content, because I've got a lot of content built up. I'm bursting. Thad is bursting at the seams with things he thinks about that he wants to share with you guys. So I had all that ready. And then come to find out, I get on with Neil and I'm like, well, where are your topics? He goes, oh, I want to discuss that real quick. Let's discuss.
What's up?
Let's discuss some of these things. And I'm like, oh, so you mean you just haven't prepared? So tell the truth, Neil.
Yeah, no, 6 weeks, the big fat 0. That's a 0 on a page. You can't see it.
That's terrible, man. That was more of a lowercase o than a 0. A 0 is an oval. That's a circle.
That's a circle.
Yeah, that's not a zero then.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
You-
I'm just telling you what one looks like.
Yeah. Okay,
It's an
great.
oval.
You're the perfect evaluator of zero.
Of fonts.
Okay.
I mean,
That is a
maybe you
font.
should do something with fonts. Fun with fonts. Have you ever watched that show, Big Bang Theory?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
I
that
know.
show. You
I know
remember
it.
like
Who
Sheldon?
are you on that show?
Sheldon had a podcast called Fun with Flags.
Yeah, I remember Fun with Flags. Sheldon
Yeah.
and his wife.
We should do fun with fonts.
Run out and get that set up.
We should definitely call Ashley to see if she'll come on for a Fun with Fonts.
I'm
podcast
sure she would.
episode. That would be great.
I can see a lot of critiquing over there. There are thousands of fonts.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. And why do they all cost so much money?
Well, Better Beans, we also create some custom fonts for people too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of our brand customers, want that extra something special, and get that. I like, well, and I don't know why we have not delivered on this, but I mean, Better Beans was supposed to have our own branded scent. What happened to that? Where
I
is that?
know.
I know we've been busy, but we really need, I want that scent in the
I mean, we've been talking about that scent for a year.
Yeah.
I don't know which department that is.
We do
but
that
boy,
for customers too, though. We'll come up with your own branded scent for some of your buildings, things like that. And so when people go, wow, that smells good. What's your scent? It's our scent. It's Better Beans. It's Acme Supply Company's scent. I think a little special, non-expensive, really in the grand scheme of things, not very expensive, special touches for your brand, signature items you could do. Scents and fonts are two pretty dang cool ones.
yeah,
You
all
ever
part
go
of the
there.
experience, right?
So slacking for 6 weeks. So I freaked Jordan out yesterday a little bit. So Jordan posts early in the morning on Facebook that they had lost their dog, Georgia. Did you see that?
I didn't. I had spoken with her.
Okay. So she had posted that they did that. They were, obviously, I think the dog's 100 years old in dog years.
Yeah, I mean, it's dog years. It's old.
It's old dog.
She's an old girl.
And they were all broken up, but then yesterday, you called me and I was like, I already know about the situation, but I'd already talked to Jordan and asked her if I could fill in because she was going to be meeting a lot of contractors. Better Beans is actually doing a full residential remodel, reconstruction of my lake house, which you know that, but I'm telling the users that. So it's basically a very large project. And Better Beans is taking it on as a residential, because we not only are doing a lot of residential remodels and interior design packages and construction projects, but we're also doing a lot of, we're doing kitchens and bathrooms, but we're also, possibly doing a couple of flip situations in the right thing. So anyways, we're working really hard on the project. Jordan was supposed to meet a large group of people out there. I was going to be out there, and we were going to look at a couple of our design ideas. And I said, hey, look, I can fill in for you today, Jordan. You don't need to come out there. And she was like, no, I kind of feel like I need to come get my head. We've been looking all day, and Dusty's here, and I just need to get out and do something and help me get it. So because if Jordan, she'll just get in her own head and drive herself crazy, drive herself batty. Well, I guess about half an hour after we were all there, she got the phone call that their neighbor had the dog. So praise God, neighbor had the dog, all that kind of stuff. So she looks at me and she's crying. She's in tears of joy. And all the other people that were meeting us, the architect, the landscape architect, these other designers that are all out there having this meeting. Jordan's standing next to me and she's like, they found her. She's fine. And I go, thank God, because I thought you killed your dog. And, so you have to know she and my relationship to understand, like, nobody makes fun of Jordan but me, because she's so sweet and nice and, like, perfect. But you know what happened. You know how the dog was lost, right? I mean,
I do. You should tell the audience.
She let the dog out and then fell asleep. And
Yeah,
it was like
it was
20
20.
degrees. And she tried to tell them, like, blame Dusty. Like, well, figured Dusty was up, he would go find her. And then she even blamed the dog. Well, the dog's old. And I'm like, Jordan, you let the dog out and fell asleep. This is on you. Like, you almost killed your dog. Nobody else is going to find that amusing. Most people are going to think I'm being a jerk right now, but you have to know the whole situation to kind of laugh at it. This is a laughable situation.
It is now. Yeah.
I'm so glad she found Jordan.
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad she found it too. I'm glad you have an opportunity to kind of thrash her a little bit.
Are you? Why
Yeah.
would you want me to thrash somebody?
Because you're not thrashing me.
Okay. Well, I was off of you for a couple minutes.
You need to lean forward. I can't hear you.
I don't need you to do anything.
Not me, you.
I didn't have anything to say. If I had something to say, I'd be up here saying it. What are you doing?
Hey, look, let's talk
moments
about.
of silence
I've got
here. What are you doing? Get
hey,
busy, Neil. You suck at this now.
Listen to me.
Let's go.
Hey,
Know your content. Let's go.
Trump 2024.
Trump
Run or don't run?
2024. I hope to God not.
Really? That surprises me.
Why?
I think you're. I feel like you're a fan still.
What give you the impression I was ever a fan?
I mean, I
Fan.
think.
Fan. I'm a fan of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Supporter? Change the word from fan to
Jesus.
supporter? Okay,
Supporter?
great.
I'm a platform supporter. How about that? I don't know.
Okay. So no, you hope to move on from it.
Well, I mean, what's he going to be, 80?
Yeah.
I mean,
76 maybe.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, I know my parents don't listen, but I mean, there's no way in Hades that there's like, that's a big job. That's a lot of hours to be almost 80 years old. Don't you think?
Yeah, that I suppose it is. Yeah.
I don't want to discriminate.
I think that's only 1 or 2 years older than Joe Biden.
But you know what I want? Like a 45, 48-year-old, just full of spit and vinegar, not afraid of nothing, tank it on the damn world, has had a lot of experience, highly intelligent. You know, I don't know. I mean, that's what I want. That doesn't mean that's what I'm going to get.
Who is that out there?
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I think it changes. As soon as you think you like somebody 4 years earlier, you know, you may not like them 4 years later. I mean, I like Nikki Haley.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's talented.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know more, though. I mean, there's plenty of folks that I think are super talented.
Well, and like you said, 4 years from now, there'll be a whole new pool of candidates too, or opportunities. So
I do want to see some youth. I mean, not that saying 45 or 50 is youth, but I want to see somebody that, you know,
for that job, it's youthful.
I'd like to see somebody that can run 5 miles. You know, I don't know.
All right. Hey,
you know, back in the day, like, I want to know when this changed, probably 1800s, maybe 1700s, but throughout history, the world's leaders went to war themselves. You know what I mean? Like, they could fight. They were battlers. You know, I don't know when it changed, but at some point, like, you don't send those people into battle. I don't know.
Interesting question.
Very interesting question. No, I think it's time to move on. Certainly think, have no problem saying, and you know, those of you that this upsets, that's fine. But I will say, boy, Trump did accomplish a whole heck of a lot of, in my mind, very positive things.
Mm-hmm.
An economy that he's going to leave office at, you know, just done nothing but set records, even through a pandemic, and unemployment, which was unbelievable, could have been even better. Could have been a whole lot worse after a pandemic that's better. But the Middle East peace stuff is fantastic. And I love that he wasn't afraid to do things like make other countries, pay in NATO and the UN and, getting out of stuff that we're just sinking, that basically America is funding things like the Paris Climate Accords, things like that make no sense. It's just other countries sucking money off of us. There are a lot of things that he really, really did an amazing job at. So whether you agree with all of it or not, you should be able to acknowledge, and intelligent people are able to acknowledge when someone accomplishes a lot. And when someone accomplishes a lot, that usually means they were a pretty good leader. Now, he's a giant butthole. But he just is. So, and that made that may be why, he lost.
Yeah, I guess I would worry that probably affects the remaining Senate runoffs.
His buttholeness?
Yes.
No, that doesn't have anything to do with the Senate race. Absolutely nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I don't wonder that voters would hold the remaining senators that are running accountable to the party, in that way that, hey, listen.
Well, the party did fantastic this year, so I don't know what you're talking about, Neil. If you're talking about the GOP, I mean, I just don't think you watch or read enough news to intelligently speak on this conversation. But on this topic, I'm not being ugly.
Yeah, that was ugly. You just called me a lack of you said I have no intelligence.
I did not say
I do watch it. I'm saying it's my opinion.
I think you sit down and watch CNN with your wife.
I do. And
yeah.
NBC.
Well, that's not. But
I also read Fox.
Do you?
A little bit. I did this morning for 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes when you didn't have a topic for today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think you you don't have good feel for politics. I mean, you do know that the GOP picked up quite a few seats in the House of Representatives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So were they punished?
No, but
okay.
This is
so
all
why do you think the GOP lost Senate seats, and they've only lost one at this point? But why do you think they've lost a Senate seat?
I'm wondering if
no.
could.
No. Answer my question.
Yeah. Because this is post-election.
Neil, answer my question.
Why do I think what?
That the GOP gained seats in the House, and why to this point they've only lost one seat in the Senate? Like, so if they're getting punished for Trump's demeanor, which is what you said, demeanor.
Yep.
Then why did they pick up Why did we pick up seats in the House and lost only one Senate seat?
Oh, I can't answer that. I'm asking.
Okay, so you're just making up. You're just making stuff up.
I said, could they? Not did that they did.
God. You're just making stuff up, Neil. You just make it up. You make up the narratives that you see on CNN.
What?
Have a free thought. You don't want to do this with me. You're not going to win this one.
Let's move on then. Well, I don't want to move on simply because I can't win. But anyway, hey, there was did you see the Sarah Fuller, the Vandy kicker this weekend?
Yeah, I did. Did you?
Well, I saw it in sports highlights.
Yeah, what do you think?
I thought
she break the glass ceiling.
Pardon me?
She bust through a glass ceiling there. We're going to start seeing Division I college football players that are female.
Just kickers. And not very many. I don't think.
Did you see her kick?
I did see her kick. It did not go it did not go in the end zone. It was a squib kick.
They called it a squib. It was not a squib kick. Do you know what a squib kick is? You're also speaking on another subject you know nothing about today, kickers. Do you know what a squib kick looks like?
It's a short kick.
No. It's a hard kick. You kick just as hard as a tall one. You just kick it lower to the ground. You kick it in the middle of the ball so that it bounces and starts bouncing crazily and is hard for people to pick up. It ends up going a little bit shorter. That's a squib kick. This one is being spun by woke journalists saying that that was supposed to be a squib kick. It was not. She kicked it in the air. It didn't go very high because she doesn't have a very strong leg, and it only went 25 yards in the air. That's as far as she can kick the ball, Neil.
Well, then that won't make for a good field goal kicker.
She is 50% of what other kickers are right now, maybe at best. So you think you're going to see more of that? Why? Because more people want the publicity stunt, or like they want to win football games?
Well, no, I'm sure they want to win football games. I think the publicity of it
Why do you think Vandy did it?
Is valuable. Publicity.
Yeah, they're 0-9. That's why they did it.
Yeah, and then week after that, they fired their head coach.
Why do you have your mind so easily changed? Just now, you said
Well,
we're about to see a lot of female
I
kickers.
think that there will be other female athletes joining teams?
But on their merits?
I don't know.
No. Answer that.
Yes,
question.
I do know. No, I do know. If that data is right, meaning she's half the distance, then you're supposed to be able to get on a team because of your merits, then no, they won't be there because of their merits.
It won't be merit based. It is an absolute sexist.
It's hard for me to hear that as a father of two daughters.
Hard for you to hear what?
I would like my children to be able to compete at that level if that's what they so desire.
I don't want to be. This is just. I don't know why we're getting so political today, or why we're picking like the worst topics ever. Probably because you didn't prepare. But think we're going to offend people today. I mean, we have mostly female listeners. So maybe I should be careful. No, I can't do that. It's always what Thad thinks. Love everybody. Physically, females are not built the same way as males. That's why I don't agree with letting transgender athletes, people that identify as a woman, a man that identifies as a woman, run in compete in track and field like they did in Connecticut and win all the high school state championships and set the records. I don't think that's right. I think that takes away from your daughter's ability to compete when men are competing with them, because physically it's just not the same. It's just not. It's kind of like having an 8-year-old or go out there and do a 10-year-old or 11-year-old. Go to like an 11-year-old and go to like an 11-year-old track and field. And the girls will smoke the boys because they already have grown more. They have longer legs and more physically around. They'll beat the boys then. But then after the changes happen, it's not. I mean, I don't want to get into all the science and as to why. I guess in my heart, I believe that women were, their bodies change when they change because, and men's change when they change because men were built to hunt and gather and build and do things physically that way. And women were built to have babies.
Breed.
And
procreate.
I mean, that's the way it is historically, and that's the way it is in the wild. For the most part in the wild. But go look. Look like the fastest. I'll challenge you to this real quick. Look up women's Olympic or world 100-meter freestyle women's record. It's like the greatest
100-meter freestyle record.
This is swimming. Okay, what's the time? 100-meter.
46.91 seconds.
Okay, go look up like boys high school freestyle record.
And by the way, that was men's.
Oh, I wanted women's. That's why I told you women's.
Hold on, let's do it again. Oh gosh, what's wrong with you? Women world 100-meter 51.01 seconds.
Okay, go look up like boys high school 100-meter record. So this is like an 18-year-old boy, a 17-year-old boy competing with the greatest woman in the world that ever lived. I have no idea. This is a guess. I have not done this. What's the time?
47.23 seconds
So the fastest high schooler
is
is 4 seconds faster than the fastest woman of all time.
mhm.
You could do the same in track and field or shot put or whatever else you want to do. So, I mean, what's the narrative? No, I think that kicker thing is embarrassing to throw people out there for just publicity like that. It's embarrassing.
Oh, you surprised me with that today. Okay.
Why?
Wait, you make a fair argument.
I make a fair argument. I make the only argument.
It was publicity. I still think more people will still consume the publicity angle, meaning you will find a few
Coaches are not like that for the most part. Coaches want to win football games, win baseball games, win basketball games.
So Derek Mason,
because they keep their jobs based on. Hey, Derek Mason got fired immediately after
the week after. Yeah,
coaches keep their jobs by winning.
Mhm.
Period.
Okay.
And look, and that's what's great about this country. Let's be honest. And this is that's why I don't. I mean, that's why I like. There's no way like any of our companies would ever discriminate or on any basis in our companies. It's all about performing, right? I mean, I don't care if it's a woman or a peanut shell. I mean, if the person can kick the ball out of the end zone and knock down 50-yard field goals, hey, man, you got a job. You're going to help me win.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I hate stuff like that, because it's just it drags down any equality talks and things like that, because it's not about equality. It's about publicity. It's about being woke. It's about being relevant. It's about virtue signaling. It has nothing at all to do with someone's ability. Good and dang well, none of our companies, none of our childcares, none of our restaurants, none of our Better Beans, like there is no way we would ever care. I mean, if I cared about what you looked like or what your sex was, there's no way I would let you work for our companies, Neil. I mean, you're bald, you're gray, you're brown, right? I mean, it's about performing. And other than not doing anything over the last 6 weeks, you perform. Ish. I got to throw that in there.
Hey, you want to talk about winning?
Oh, my gosh.
How
many listeners do you think we just lost?
Well, we only had 10.
Oh, that's true. Whatever,
I don't think we lost
a lot of downloads this month. A lot. Without giving them any content.
Yeah.
We have a lot.
Yeah, I saw a note on that yesterday. That's good.
I have a big family, so we got a lot of listeners.
Hello, cousin Edna. Winning. CNN's viewership is up 130%.
Holy smokes,
in November.
Yes. Yeah.
Why? What do you attribute that to?
Well, Fox had its record November as well. But I credit CNN was down so much. What are you Googling it?
Yeah.
You don't believe me?
I want to know Fox's viewership.
It was 3. I mean, they're still number one in that group. Now, granted, they're the only ones that have any kind of right leaning where, CNN has got to compete with MSNBC and as well.
Yeah.
And the networks.
Yep.
But I would say that I'm going to talk a little bit about this later. I don't know how far I want to get into this. But I will tell you that people like it when they win. Right? So when people think things are going well, they'll watch and read more about it than they do when it's going bad. Let me ask you this. Georgia has lost 2 games. University of Georgia lost 2 football games. Mm-hmm. Have you read as much on your little chat lines or the forums that you usually do? If we were undefeated, would you be reading it more?
Yes.
Yeah. People like a winner. Same thing. We went back to the thing with the thing earlier. People like winners. When we lost to Florida, I did not go into my UGA forum for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
I just didn't want to deal with the pain. Moaners, the complainers. So I would credit some of CNN's increase to being the fact that they just won an election. But I'll talk a little bit more about the other ones later. But anyways, Neil, thank you. Glad you showed up. Well, no, we can talk about the next part. I've got a couple topics I want to talk about before we get to what Thad thinks. So maybe there could be a couple things to offer. Since you didn't get me a guest and you didn't prepare, it's just be me and you this week. I mean, I'm so glad it's the end of the year and it's review time and distribution time and bonus time. I mean, yours is, oh, raise your eyebrows. Ain't nothing coming your way, big dog. Cole.
I will say I loved getting that rent check in the mail yesterday.
I thought you'd like that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice new one, isn't it?
Better than the Bojangles one.
Well, yeah, I know. Done a little bit different. Structured a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody took good care of you. Don't know who that would be. You should.
Jessica, would you please come on and be a guest in a couple weeks?
That's not a couple weeks. Next week.
Okay. We'll
next
work
Wednesday.
on some topics too. Hey,
no,
I've got
to talk it. What? I got stuff to talk about.
I want to talk about Oregon.
Oh God. What do you want to talk about Oregon?
I mean, puff, puff, pass.
Puff, puff. It ain't puff, puff.
Oregon is the first state in the union to
the union. The first state in the union?
Yeah. Union
is this a civil war?
It's a word in our nation to decriminalize what are illegal drugs everywhere else.
Yeah. Well, who didn't know this was coming, right? This is kind of like when everybody said, well, yeah, why don't you want to decriminalize pot? Well, because I just know the next thing is going to be cocaine. Watch, it's just the nature of human sin, I would call it. Is that the bar will continue to be lowered until everyone can step over it. Yeah, I mean, you want to let your daughters move to Oregon? Now there's
probably not.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want one of my daughters to go.
There's on the same note. There's like 6 counties in Eastern Oregon that want to leave Oregon, that are trying to leave Oregon and become a part of Idaho because they know the rest of the state, the coastal part of Oregon, is just controls all the elections and has just doesn't believe the way they believe. They have basically no say. Kind of like the people in Southern Illinois really want to break off from Illinois because they just have no chance in any elections, right? Because Southern Illinois, the farmers are pretty conservative, but they have no chance. I mean, what do you think about decriminalization of drugs, Neil? I mean, I guess the libertarian in me thinks, okay, cool. It's just one thing we don't have to police. Then the next part of me just goes and looks at like the streets of San Francisco or Austin or Los Angeles and San Diego now and go, man, these guys are all just drug addicts. And it's not because it's not because it's a crime. These people aren't like these people aren't addicted because of drugs or a crime.
No, you don't get addicted because something is a crime. You get addicted because you're using and you're enabled to use freely.
Yeah. I think you just have more people addicted. I don't know. I mean,
I didn't know about this until we talked about it earlier.
It's just like $100 fine or something like that. I think if you get caught with heroin, but you can also get out of the fine if you go through a health screening. I mean, if you catch one of your daughters,
what's the point of that?
If you catch one of your daughters doing heroin, God forbid. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, if the police catch her doing heroin,
they better keep her, because if I get a hold of her,
oh yeah, tough guy.
Yeah,
we're gonna need more than health screenings for anybody in my family on heroin. I mean, I just don't understand this. I don't understand what we're doing here. Um, this isn't the marijuana argument where they say, well, the government can tax it and use it and all that kind of fun stuff. I mean, this is just basically saying it's okay to do cocaine. We're not going to throw you in jail for having, a couple ounces of cocaine.
What is the argument? What is the argument? Why do it? What is the reason?
They're just saying all these people need treatment. They don't need to be forever punished by having a crime or criminal record or being locked up.
So treat it. I don't know that I understand that, but interesting. Won't ever happen here.
Oh, don't say that.
No, not possible.
No, don't say that. It'll happen. It's going to happen everywhere across the country. Just like marijuana is coming across the country. It's just taking like 12 years. Watch.
I guess I thought, yeah. Well, no, I'm sorry. I will say it. I don't believe it. I don't even think that will last out there.
Oh, yeah. It is. All right. So here's what I've got. We've got, as you see with stuff like that, we have obviously not officially a new president-elect, but you're going to have a new president. You're going to have, a lot of House of Representatives changed, and in 2 years, there are a ton of Democrat seats up for reelection. So there will be, my guess, many changes there. You're probably going to have more changes there. The Senate could change this year, but it's certainly going to be a pretty tight majority, whoever has it. Obviously, since we just had a lot of local elections, which are way more important, you have a lot of change probably in your community. The economy, which was going like gangbusters in 2019, the first part of 2020, and then the COVID hit. We had a big dip, and over the last few months, we've been charging back. The Dow's up over 30,000 points for the first time ever. You've got talks of vaccines. We've got talks of vaccines saving the day. We got talks of more shutdowns and more mask mandates in other states. You've got Fauci saying kids should be in school after saying kids shouldn't be in school. You got the CDC lowering the time that they think kids should be in quarantine that were exposed. You've got a lot of information out there. And a lot of conflicting information out there. I know I had a friend ask me the other day, said, would you even go to a buffet anymore? Is buffets even going to be a thing? I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? I went to 3 buffets in the last month. No one in the buildings with masks, serving yourself the food. Full 9 yards at 2 of them. One of them they served the food, so it wasn't really a buffet. It looked like more of a cafeteria. And they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. And I'm like, I can't believe you wouldn't. I mean, it's all about your experiences, but there's so much different information depending on who you get it from. And let's face it, most of us are like Neil. We only get our news from one place. One source, because we think that's the best one. To you small business owners out there, we run into different information all the time. Now, this information matters. The uncertain economy that is going so well right now. From big things like that to a new political scene that's coming. You have big deals and small deals in your restaurants every day where you get mixed messages. You'll get 2 different employees tell you different perspectives of the situation that's going on in your building. 2 different employees that are arguing and fighting over, something that you may not have the solution to. So what do you do? What do you do as a small business right now? Neil. What do you do about the economy right now if you're a small business owner?
You're asking me?
That's what Neil means. What do you think, Neil?
I mean, I think you plan you plan for the worst and but continue to execute on where you think that the next 60 days, the next 6 months are going. I don't think you abandon. For me, I don't
It's a
think you
good
abandon your
thing people
plan.
don't tune in for what Neil thinks. You know what I mean?
You're
You don't-
shameful. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Why should I be ashamed of myself?
Let me finish.
But it all sounded like Charlie Brown's character.
What do you
That's what it
think,
sounded like
Thad?
to me.
Would you like me to ask you that?
I mean, yeah.
What do you think? What do you do for the uncertain economy?
Well, I think when it comes to the economy, I'm gonna kind of give you a broad brush here, okay? Not just the economy. For right now, I think you got some things that you need to think about. You need to think about the political situation and climate in the country. You need to think about the economy that is way up here, way higher than it's ever been. Okay, think about that. Home resales higher than they've ever been. Economy higher. The stock market higher than it's ever been. We're facing possible vaccine, possible shutdowns. Fauci can't decide if schools should be open or not. I think you're getting so many mixed messages that here's what you have to do no matter what decision. So this is big or small in your building. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Big or small in your building. Here's what you need to be doing when you're getting mixed messages, right? When it's not obvious the decision you should make. Number one is use your core values. When facing business decisions, when facing, conflicts, when facing decisions, go to your core values first. Or do what Neil said. Whenever the next 6 months, you isn't that what you did, Neil?
You can keep going.
Have I ever told you how much I love you, Neil?
Daily.
Why you? What?
Daily.
Okay. Number one, use your core values. You got these difficult decisions, these difficult conflicts. That's what your core values are there for, guys. Use them. Use them. Number two, use your books you've read. Whatever your main books, your main places you go for decisions. For me, it's the Bible. For me, it's the Constitution. For me, it's how to win customers and keep them for life. For me, it's 1 Minute Manager. For me, it's the Energy Bus. Like the core books that help you make decisions. Those are mine that I lean on. Lean on the experts that you like. I mean, ask me who I think the top branding expert is that has a podcast and is from the southeastern United States. Well, that's me. So no, but count on the experts that you know. Use your books, use your experts. So number one is, count on your core values. Number two is use the experts and books that you know and that can see. This is on big deals or small deals. And the third one, and I'm going to give you three on all this conflicting information. And this one may be more important than the other two to me on most business decisions, other than the Bible, which is my core values. Use your own eyes, your own experiences, your own gut. Your own eyes. That's EYES. Your own experiences and your own gut. I'm going to give you an example. The market is going crazy high. The stock market's going crazy high. I absolutely dumped everything I had in individual stocks last week because there's no way in God's green earth when it's as higher than it's ever been in its life. And to me, stuff really isn't very good in the markets, right? In the economy right now. I mean, it's better than it could be. But with all the shutdowns and stuff that you have around the country, there is no way we should be higher than we've ever been during shutdowns. That doesn't make any logical sense. That's my own gut. That's my own eye. That's not my gut. That's my eyeballs. When I go to Walmart or buy Walmart on Black Friday, and the parking lot is half full, I am telling you, my eyeballs tell me that there's no way we should be trading at record highs in the stock market. That's my own eyeballs. Right? In Georgia, and I'm not saying we're the same as New York, when we were going through the coronavirus craziness, and they were saying that the hospitals were packed full and were reaching capacity, I used my own eyeballs at my own local hospitals to realize that there's no way in hell that was the case. It's my own eyeballs. So let's recap the three things, right? Three things when you're facing conflicting decisions, tough decisions. Number one, lean on your core values. Number two, use your resources, your books and your experts, your books and experts. That's what I mean by using your resources. And number three, make sure you use your own eyeballs, your own eyes, your own gut. And it'll lead you to the right decision. What do you think about that, Neil?
Good. Like
Good.
it.
You don't like saying that was fantastic, do you?
It was great.
What do you think, though? Really good? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
satisfied with
so
that.
anyways, Neil, thank you for joining us. It's now time for our favorite part of the show, everybody's favorite part of the show, of What Thad Thinks. Time to say goodbye to Neil. Adios, brother. And get on to What Thad Thinks. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, Jessica, you join us next week. That's like 3 times we've asked you now. There's an old poker saying, and I love to play poker, but there's an old poker saying. I think it's even in the movie Rounders, if you're a sucker and have ever watched that, Matt Damon. It says if you can't spot the sucker at the poker table, you are the sucker. I think we have been played, folks. The American people, we are the suckers. A record $14 billion was spent on the 2020 election cycle. $14 billion. Why are we donating so much money to elections for just these humans that get to be in power? Why are we spending so much money getting them elected? Do you know what you could do with $14 billion? We could give, what is that? We could give 1 million people $14,000. Do you know what that would do? That would instantly change the lives of 1 million people in poverty in this country. $14 billion. I can't imagine what we are thinking and doing. And I heard that there was $75 million spent for the lady that was running against Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. You mean a podunk state like Kentucky, and we spent $75 million on someone that lost by like 7%. This is just tossing money in the toilet. We should be donating this money to causes that matter, a hell of a lot more than elections do. I don't want to upset somebody, but I'm going to tell you why we're the sucker. You see right now this election has been dragging out a month. Who's benefiting from that? Freaking the news channels. You just heard it. Fox, record number of November viewers. CNN up almost 140%. That means they're getting more ad revenue, more eyeballs. Who do you think's benefiting from dragging this out? So how did they get this to drag out? Don't think they're stupid. They got this. They're not just lucky and they're up this much. They have suckered the American people. You go back and look 6 weeks, 8 weeks before the election, and you can absolutely see them laying the groundwork. Hillary Clinton was telling Joe Biden, don't, they asked Hillary a question and got her to say, don't concede the election on election night. They got them already talking about dragging the election out. Then they went to Trump and said, are you going to concede the election? He said, no. All the way leading up to the election, they told you this was coming. They, in my opinion, the media on the right and the media on the left are the ones benefiting from this, and they are the ones that have figured out how to drag an election on for months after the election. It is still going. In a way, the 2016 election never stopped. They have figured out how to hold us and to pit each other against each other. I mean, they have played us till we're so divided right now. You think it's a politician that's dividing us? You're full of crap. My dad used to tell me that he thought it was President Obama that was dividing us. A lot of people now think it's President Trump that's dividing us. Bull crap. I'll tell you who's dividing us. The media is dividing us, and they're making us pick sides. It is a horse crap show. It's a crap show. And they have suckered all of us into it. They've sucked us all into it. I am convinced that the media pays these polling companies to give them numbers that make the candidates spend the most money on ads. How did they convince the Democrat Party to spend $75 million, against Mitch McConnell? That lady had no chance in Kentucky to beat Mitch McConnell. And after $75 million, they still lost by a ton. They made the person running against Lindsey Graham do the same thing in North Carolina, and Lindsey Graham spent a record amount of money on the election, and he won kind of going away. We are the suckers. All these polls are meant to increase donations to candidates and increase spending to the tune of $14 billion. What could you have done with $14 billion? Hell, I'm not even an elected person, and I could come up with probably a billion different ways that I would rather spend $14 billion. Wake up, suckers, or keep getting burned. Thanks for joining us, What Dad Thinks, this week. We are back, baby. Powered by Better Beans Branding, your absolute number one remodel, branding, interior design company. Take a look at our graphics, our signs, and our total makeovers inside of buildings. It's pretty unbelievable. Subscribe, like, share, comment, the whole nine for this podcast. We would love to see more of you, and we will talk to you next week. Adios. Thank you, brothers and sisters.